let's start with Ranton and his "You Can't Deny Elden Ring" video.
Bro, fuck! You cannot deny this game. It's a presence, it's an entity. It exists, and we can divide the world into pre and post Elden Ring. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna give you now my thoughts on Elden Ring. And there's a lot of shit in there that goes against my... I'm gonna give the final rating away in the beginning. Even though there's a lot here that I'm gonna bitch and whine about because I'm...
a hypocrite and a coward.
But you cannot deny Elden Ring. It's a masterpiece. 10 out of 10. Sometimes when I play a game, it's like, do I like it? Do I not like it? What rating? When I play Elden Ring, the whole time, I was like, this game demands it. You understand? The single best sense of exploration and wonder and wow that I have ever seen in a video game to date. Nothing else comes close.
Yeah, I guess he's talking about the level design and the world design and the beauty of it, which are all good. That's what I enjoyed as well. But it's a battle focused game. Most of the time you are fighting, and the reason you are exploring is also to fight and kill enemies and get loot. And yes, good level and world design is not nearly as hard to make as good gameplay.
And it's achieved through such incredible simple means. Some people online be like,
bro, not a big deal. They just did this and this.
Okay, if it's so simple, then why don't other games do it too?
Because most people don't care about level design. Most developers don't care that much about making levels that are connected with each other in beautiful ways while also giving environmental storytelling. And by the way, the same goes for the Souls fans. Most of the Souls fans are playing these games for the gameplay, not for the level design.
That makes it even more amazing. Incredible sense of wonder and exploration achieved through such simple means as the fact that when you open the map screen, you only see the tiny area that you have. And then as you collect more map pieces, the actual map that you zoom out on becomes bigger. Wow. And you're like, what the fuck? When does it end? And I thought, what the... How big? There's a penis joke in there somewhere. Then I looked online like Elden Ring world map. I promised myself I'm just gonna look for a second, then I saw it. I'm like, no. This is unreal. Every game that wants good exploration and a sense of scale and amazement should do this. Don't show the whole map in the beginning. Don't even do shadows. It's covered, you find map pieces, and then you see only the part that you have. Nothing else compares.
Yeah, a huge map doesn't automatically mean a good one. There really isn't anything interesting to do most of the time. It's just that many places are visually pleasant, which makes the exploration somewhat enjoyable.
That is really cool, but Elden Ring, this alone makes this a groundbreaking title. If you want an adventure where you just go on and you just experience things and you see things and you're like, wow, man, you gotta play Elden Ring. Visionary, right there. And it's not just that. Elden Ring has this thing about it where you have a perpetual feeling of being overwhelmed, feeling like an ant in a big place.
Yeah, if you want an adventure where you walk to places and you see beautiful sights, sure. But if you want to play and fight enemies and bosses, which is what you have to do, then the game is just not good.
The sheer epicness of almost every enemy, every location, every landscape.
By epicness of each enemy, he clearly means visually epic, because there is nothing epic about the fights themselves. And that's not me taking a wild guess. You will see what I mean.
You are small and you're in a big world. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life is plastic. It's fantastic. They just want to make you feel epic. Man, the first time you step out into Limgrave and you see the castle of, what's his name? Storm whatever castle. You're like, oh, wow. It's erdrückend, imposing. I see the Erd tree and I'm just like, when did this turn into beautiful world, man? When did this turn into I love you? Or, oh my god, after Stormvale Castle and then you look into the swamp and you see 1,000 castles on the horizon. Everywhere you look, you can go. There's one castle on the mountaintop and you think, ich war nie auf einer Akademie. Wow. You see the castle and you're like, oh, what's waiting for me in there? Bam, it's a midget. The big castles and main dungeons are just as exciting as finding the small optional ones. Man, you ride around, you're like... And then you find an optional dungeon on the side of the mountain. What the fuck is this? Where am I? You go inside and boom, there's content at every corner. Rewarding exploration at every corner.
Most of the dungeons are also repeated, not just the enemies, the puzzles, and they even look identical to each other. And what the hell does he mean by rewarding, when 90% of the things you will find in these dungeons will never be used? Most of the time it's just some useless garbage which can only be used by either another class or just some terribly balanced piece of equipment that even developers have no idea why they put it in.
Bruh. Everything the game gives you is like a present. Mein Schwanz ist verpackt wie ein Geschenk.
Presents that you open up and get disappointed.
I will never forget this game. Put a fucking brandmark on my head. The enemy variety is insane. Is ridiculous. Is maybe even unprecedented. I'm not sure. You keep moving through this world and you're like, okay, here's another new enemy here, another new one here.
The amount of repeated enemies is some of the worst I have seen in a video game, and even if it wasn't, enemy variety doesn't mean shit without good gameplay.
You just defeat this piece of shit boss, yeah, that you've been stuck on for a whole week, yeah. You went at it again and again. You finally defeat him. Yeah. You walk 5 feet further, yeah. And Elden Ring goes, Cabron, you have to fight these boss, yeah.
And this is one of the main problems with the people of this fandom. Throwing an entire week of your life to defeat a single boss in an utterly brain-dead game can only be considered acceptable if you are severely mentally ill. Like, you need to have nothing valuable in your life going on to actually do that. Be fine with it and keep doing it over and over again.
So many enemy types. They have gone too far. It's not reasonable what they did. You can be in this game who you want to be.
You can only be a dodge roller who either pokes from a melee range or spams projectiles at the long range. Be whoever you want to be. What a fucking joke. As if there are actual RPG mechanics.
It's kind of my first Souls game that I really played through properly. Well, no, that's not true. I do like the Surge games, but from Software. I appreciate it. I love it. I am the Elden Lord. And every time I recommend Elden Ring to someone, I always have to say, and this is not a joke, my friend, be careful. Elden Ring is addictive in a bad way. But now when you watch this review, you're probably done with it already, but think back. When I played it for the first time, I was unstoppable. I was addicted. It's always one more. Okay, I'll stop in half an hour, then you're stuck on a boss for 10 hours. Be careful with this game.
I mean, that really speaks volumes about you, your life, your time management, your mindset. Addiction is never a good thing, especially when it happens due to a desperate thirst of accomplishment. That's a deep-rooted issue, and Souls games can never cure that. They will only keep giving you the illusion of accomplishment while you are rotting in your basements.
Now that I've jizzed all over it, I'm gonna talk about things I don't like. And listen, there are things I don't like and you're not gonna like.
That I don't like it.
I'm gonna get it off my chest, eh? Who you kidding? All of this for a slice of gabagool? Listen. I just have to get it out. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it, okay? Gaming opinions are subjective, but hey, here we go. I believe in something that is called story is told, lore is found. And for me, From Software games don't have story. They just have lore. Hey bro, if you look at the side, it all makes sense. I don't give a fuck. You either tell me a story or you don't tell me a story. Don't make me suck it out with a fucking straw like tight. I despise this cryptic meet me where my nipple meets the sky and the moon fucks my anus in the fucking... No. Talk like a normal person or don't talk at all. It's gonna get worse. For example, the game has no quest log. I think that's fine if you don't have quests. If you have quests, give me a quest log. When I start Skyrim up after 3 months and I see my quest log, it's hard enough to understand where you at. In this game, if you take a break, you just won't know what the fuck ever happened, who you talk to. Because nothing's keeping track of it, there's no log. Also, I'm sorry, I did the Rana quest line, the witch. Give me a fucking break. The stuff you have to do for the quests, it's like a point and click game but 3D and you have to walk. It doesn't make no sense. I went through the walkthrough online, like what I have to do, and not in a million years would I have figured this out on my own. Meet this person at that time over there. Meet this at that time over there. Use this item exactly there like this and do this over there and then this. Maybe you guys like this stuff? I think it's fucking horrible. If I have to consult outside sources,
I don't like that.
I think the information has to be in the game and properly given to me. If you have a story, show me. And I think this is one thing that is sad for Elden Ring, because when I think of Skyrim, I think of a lot of quests and fun quests. For Elden Ring, I don't. I think of just fun boss fights and cool areas. Then I have to say the side dungeons, even though super rewarding to find them and they have a cool boss at the end, I think the side dungeons are very repetitive. I think you have 3 archetypes. You have the stone dungeons, you have the caves, and you have the mines. And they're just all with slightly different layouts. I think it's very repetitive and unfortunate. They don't tell any stories. In Skyrim, even if there's not a quest attached to a dungeon, which most of the time there is, sometimes you find little notes or environmental storytelling that gives you an idea of what happened here.
So, despite having huge issues with the story, the lore, the way the quests function, all the cryptic stuff that he clearly considers horrible, he still gives it a 10 out of 10. He also contradicts his previous statement of the dungeons being good.
You know, in Skyrim, the one guy who has a book next to him where there's nothing in there because he's blind, the stuff is funny. In Elden Ring, I don't associate any story or feeling with any of the dungeons, especially the optional ones. Then the combat system. I prefer combat systems that have combos and skill. Not that it doesn't require skill, Elden Ring requires skill, but the combat in Elden Ring is hit 1, 2, back, hit 1, 2, hit 1, 2, heavy 1. I prefer combat systems like in God of War, where there are combos. Heavy, heavy, light does this, and then pause, do again. I like a refined combo system. I prefer that much to, let's be real, a very simple, super straightforward. It's kind of like Skyrim. Obviously, Skyrim has no hitboxes and Skyrim is shit combat. But in terms of simplicity, it's like Skyrim.
Low easy.
Come to terms with it.
Please tell us what skill Elden Ring requires. Also, the combat isn't even up to his preferences, yet he still calls it a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. The combat is shit like Skyrim, but he also likes it, and the bosses, but he also prefers combo-based combat instead of this simple, mindless garbage that is like Skyrim. But it's still a 10 out of 10 masterpiece apparently.
And now the last thing, my apologies, but this is something that I finally my opportunity to say it. From Software fans, gonna get their panties in the bunch, but there's absolutely no reason to have the walking back to a boss thing after you lost the fight. It doesn't make fucking sense. If you think it makes sense, then you should also be okay with every game having permadeath. If you die in any mission in GTA 5, the whole game restarts. Yeah, you just walk up to the part where you were at.
What the fuck is this?
And the funny thing is, the game admits it and compromises in such a stupid way with the, what's it, stakes of Marika or some shit, so you can walk the 10 meters. Bro, you obviously did that because you know the walking up is stupid, so just make an option to restart the fight. It doesn't make it more challenging, it just wastes my time. I don't like it. I love Elden Ring, 10 out of 10.
Peace.
Well, I'm glad he doesn't like wasting his time constantly walking to bosses that you have to die since it's a trial and error game. But for some reason he said before he is okay with throwing an entire week fighting the same boss over and over again. So do you value your time or do you not? Is walking really the only thing that bothers you? You are fine with the huge loading screens and bullshit hitboxes and inflated health and damage of the enemies, and the fact that you can't ever become a good player since it's not a skill-based game and you have to memorize every single enemy attack to actually make progress. You are fine with all of that. It's just the walking that bothers you. Still a 10 out of 10 masterpiece though, right? Now let's take a look at his Black Myth Wukong review.
Now I want to make this perfectly clear. I will review this game. Unreal Engine 5 schmeckt. The cutscenes are kino. The music is banging. The voice acting impeccable. The headless Chinese singer guy, I love him. I don't want to spend any more time glazing the game's visuals because you don't need me for that. You can see it with your own eyeball. What you might need me for is to tell you guys that this is special. You might know the Monkey King from other games, but this right here is something else. This world, this narrative, this attention to detail, this love for the source material. A novel written almost 500 years ago. There was no TikTok, no medicine. If you fucked, you died. This is an original story. The novel has concluded and Black Myth Wukong seamlessly continues where it ended. I've been having a geek off with a close Chinese friend of mine who always helps me with translations, and strap in guys, I'm going deep.
So he spends the first few minutes praising the graphics, which are obviously some of the best we have ever seen, but it's nothing that can define the quality of the game.
Every enemy you fight gets a gorgeous hand-drawn journal entry in this traditional Chinese style. Why is the Panda Express menu not like this? It's accompanied by a poem and anecdotes about the creature. Look at this wolf in his story, and the story of the wolf and so on. I can summarize the entire bestiary with one word: charm. Every character in Black Myth Wukong has irresistible charm. No matter how small, how unimportant, how much they look like mein haariger Sack, they're all a joy to listen to and watch them gesticulate. They quote ancient Chinese proverbs and expressions. Here's a quick taste.
就在樊笼里，复得返自然。贪根不拔，无数常在。
The Buddhist temples and Chinese architecture you come across. I love this so much I cannot fit it into words, no my rectum. To see my culture represented in a big budget game to this degree is an amazing feeling. And if you think I'm biased because I'm Chinese, I'm sorry I annoyed you with my ethnicity. Did you know that the game has 81 bosses, and in the novel Sun Wukong has to face 81 calamities through his journey to the west? Did you know that the max cap is level 342, which is the age of Wukong's death as deemed by the King of Hell? Did you know that this mural right here depicts Wukong's first teacher? Did you know that his high-pitched voice
长生不老，
It's because of the classic TV show that I watched as a kid.
不是神仙，怎么说出神仙的话来
The
了？
devs even got approval from the original composer of the theme song and remix it into something similar. The list of nods and small references to the novel, to the legendary TV show are endless and prove to me that this was a labor of love. I don't even want to mention the murals that you see at the end of each level or the animated cutscenes. It's just in game form.
Then he spends the next few minutes to say how accurate the lore and representation of Chinese folklore is.
But now let me ask you the $1 million question. Who gives a fuck? Legit, who gives a shit? Who cares? World building and story go hand in hand. Just because your world is awesome and great, you're a nerd, you love Chinese culture, you love ordering the number 43 to go, don't mean the story is any good. And it's not. Let me put it like this. For me, it was like watching a play at a theater. Cultured, but lame as fuck. I never found it particularly engaging. It's fun to see it unfold in front of you. Every chapter is its own little play with its own characters, and you're along for the ride, so to speak, yeah? I enjoy that for what it is, but I also, it is lacking an overarching story, an overarching villain, a continuous thread. Your character is a mute monkey with zero personality and emotions. I can't relate to that.
And then he admits that the lore doesn't matter since it's just pointless knowledge and since the story is just bad. You can learn all that stuff about the Chinese folklore, but at the end of the day, a crappy story is not enjoyable.
Okay, let's leave all this story shit behind us. Who gives a fuck? It's a game. I wanna play a game. I wanna watch a game. Play a game. Watch a game. Listen to a game. I wanna talk. Exploration. AKA invisible walls. Watch these.
Gameplay.
Yes, they're here, they're everywhere. Get ready. You walk 5 meters, yeah? Boom! The environments are very limiting. You really can't explore off the beaten path. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no exploration. On the contrary, there's tons to find. Gras, Baum, Stein. The locations are huge, but it just takes a while for you in the game to get to know each other, learn to read each other's signs. But the way the monkey jumps and climbs and clips around vertical obstacles is janky and cursed. There's a reason why there's no platforming, okay? It just wasn't made for it. I know all this sounds kinda bad, but I did get used to it pretty quickly.
And now we are getting to the juice, the gameplay. He is already admitting some of the game's problems and how junky controlling your character feels.
Due to the significant amount of backtracking, traversing this world can get tedious, for real. The game either needs some type of mount or an ultra sprint where you can go monkey mode and just run on all fours. There's too much running through emptiness.
So he also admits a huge portion of the game is just tedious walking that wastes a lot of your time.
The bosses in this game? Sayonara. I'm gonna say it. The bosses in this game take a dump on Elden Ring bosses. That is a fact. A brutal fact. Brutal and raw. Like me in bed. Enemy variety, boss level. Enemy design, end level. The best boss I've ever seen in a video game. No exception. Done. Over and out. Don't believe me? Gorgeous man with more hair than me. Da baby. Wolf in Wolf's pants. Richard Parker. Don't you know about the frog? Half snake, half emo. Big black busted bear with big beats. And if you think that's a spoiler, it's not. Because Black Myth Wukong doesn't just deliver quality. It delivers quantity. So much so that the co-op online is laughable. Boss rush game? Every person who says that should be bullied into a work camp. It's not a boss rush game. Oh my god. It's just a game with a lot of bosses. And you're just not used to getting spoiled like that. Fighting bosses is still only a fraction of the total playtime. You're still exploring a ton and fighting normal enemies all the time. But the sheer amount of boss battles is unprecedented and something that you have to witness to believe. Trust me, you don't know. You haven't seen.
So he considers the bosses of this game the best he has ever seen. Now what does he mean by that? You would think he means mechanically, right? The bosses are fun to fight, right? Let him explain.
You can take any 10 main bosses from Black Myth Wukong and fill a full-fledged AAA game with them and people would applaud and say amazing. That's how good it is. And now it makes complete sense why this game took so long to make. Designing, prototyping, playtesting these bosses must have taken years. A boss fight is where a game truly needs to shine. It's where everything has to come together. It has to be fun, memorable, challenging, enough. And these motherfuckers from Game Science, they said more to an unreasonable degree. And the payoff is galactic. I want to show you so many more of these bosses, but I don't want to spoil it. Just, you have seen nothing. There's one optional mini side boss that I do want to highlight though. It's a monk that just stands around, his hands behind his back, only fighting you with his legs. I love him. The design is minimalist but memorable. His moveset unique and fun. He's also a tough cookie and has a second phase where he unleashes his arms. It is brilliant. It made me fall in love with this game. And it's just one tiny mini boss that some people may miss. Okay, so what an amazing game. My final rating for Black Myth Wukong is a 9.
He was about to give a score and then he realized he hasn't mentioned the most important thing, the combat gameplay.
Rant on.
big trouble.
People, gamers, Asians, listen here. Black Myth Wukong is not a Game of the Year contender for me. It has a problem. And it's so massive that I want Game Science to unrelease this game right now. Here it is. The combat is a button-mashy, shallow, vapid, repetitive disgrace that breaks this game's back. Spinal. Where are the combos, Game Science? Where are the combos? You're hiding them under the floorboards, aren't you? Here's how you play Black Myth Wukong in the first hour. Press X. Here's how you play Black Myth Wukong in the last hour. Press X, and X. And you only press Y. Swap combo finisher. It costs the focus point. And that's always the same. What happened here? Where are the combos? All the abilities you have, they're cool. Transforming, cool. Freeze, cool. Spirits, cool. Rock solid, that's me. But the basics, you forgot the basics, man. The foundation. This house is crumbling. There's next to zero variation. It makes me sad. To be clear here, this isn't even about finding your go-to combos and sticking to them. I'm not a combo fanatic. I don't need 100 combos. I don't like bloated combo systems, so don't even. There just aren't any mother. You play this game the same way I play it. Everybody plays it the same way. Spam X, learning curve, non-existent. Oh no, but I use the frog and I use the quadroscope. Fuck out of here with them one-click one-off abilities, bro. And if you're only 5 to 10 hours in and you think it's not that bad, I can do the bomb. You're at the beginning. Once you get deeper, then talk again. The different stances, pathetic. It does basically nothing but change what animation you can play after button spamming. All this is unnecessary and should have been consolidated into button combinations, i.e. combos. Separating this already bare bone system by different stances was brain sharden.
Ranton, my dude, who the fuck told you this is a combo based game? I guess you got tricked when you saw the hack and slash in the genre names, but no, it's just a Souls-like, and the game makes sure you understand that from the very few hours you play it. Souls-like and hack and slash are two completely different games. People are clearly too stupid to know the difference. And I guess you can call it false advertising in a way, I suppose.
Brain busted? But Elden Ring doesn't have combos. Forget about Elden Ring doesn't need combos because Elden Ring is one hit dodge. You die really quickly. No time for combos. But Wukong isn't a Souls-like, bro. It's not even a fascinating new genre mix. We've had plenty of games like it before, didn't we? With similar combat systems. Darksiders 2, Stellar Blade, Force Unleashed, even God of War. They all fuck Wukong's combat up the caboose. Where are the grabs? Where are the aerials? Where are the combos?
Elden Ring doesn't need combos because it's one hit dodge, and that's perfectly acceptable by him apparently, even though he does crave a combo system. Wukong is a Souls-like, but instead of one hit dodge, it's mash dodge. That's the only difference between Wukong and other Souls-likes. It's not a genre mix, it's an actual Souls-like.
I mean, picture this. You play, yeah? The game just keeps getting better and better. The boss is awesomer and awesomer. All the while, you're still fucking using X. Oh, but here's another boss fight. And here's another boss fight. And here's another boss fight. Scheiß mich voll, Digga. What does it matter how many boss fights you have if all of them play out the same way? This is a game designed for...
So when he was praising the game getting constantly better and the bosses being awesome, he only meant visually. He always considered the combat trash, but apparently he is a 10-year-old fascinated purely by visuals. And that's what he considers the game with the best boss fights of all video games. Apparently gameplay doesn't matter much to him. It doesn't matter how many boss fights you have if they all play out the same way. Then how are they good? Why are you praising them? Why are you praising the game? The boss fights are completely pointless.
A kill shot. You killed your game with this. Unrelease it. Add the combos, come back, and get your 9. Do it. You need to fix this. What the fuck? It's killing me. I can't accept this. I need to address the developers in Chinese really quickly, okay?
So the game is dead to him just for having bad gameplay. That's a very fair take, but that's not what he said before, and that's totally not what he said about Elden Ring in his Elden Ring review and in this review as well. How is one dodge roll simulator acceptable while the other is not?
And it gets worse. There's a severe lack of innovation, a across the board. Everything progression related is mind-bogglingly uninteresting. We've seen it a million times before. The skill trees, the crafting, the items. Somebody called Snorlax because he can sleep some more. Keep sleeping. So don't call him. None of it impacts the game in a meaningful way. Remember Dante's Inferno? Oh, two distinct skill trees. Unholy goes with the scythe and Holy goes with the clutch. Completely changed the way you play. But not here. You will press X until the end of days. Every system in Black Myth Wukong is either uninspired or just plain boring. I beg you, game science. I will go on my knees. This cannot be the final product. Please. Combos. What a waste!
You know, I find it hilarious how he expects the developers to take back their game, put actual combos in it, and then re-release it. He is so clueless, it's funny. He actually thinks making a combo-based game with actual combat depth is just as easy as making a dodge roll simulator Souls-like. It's hilarious. He can't even comprehend the amount of effort and thought that is needed to make an actual refined hack and slash game. It's an entirely different genre, and I'm pretty sure the developers are clueless on how to make one. That's why they had to stick to making a brain-dead Souls-like. And he even admits that, just like Souls-likes, both the action part of the game and the RPG mechanics are all pointless garbage, just giving you the illusion of choice and wasting your time. It doesn't matter how much you beg the developers, they are not going to suddenly develop the skill of creating hack and slash combo based games. It takes way more effort than you can imagine, and you should probably study a little bit of game design before spouting such ignorant nonsense.
My final rating for Black Myth Wukong is a generous 7 out of 10. Fuck my life. It's a good game. Just barely.
7 out of 10 for a game that has pretty much unplayable gameplay. Completely tedious and repetitive. Yeah, his scoring system doesn't mean shit. The gameplay is a 2 out of 10, just like all the Souls-likes, making it unplayable unless your standards are non-existent. What's really hilarious is that he has a video on his channel called YouTube Game Reviews Are Corrupt, and he pretty much mentions the fact that most of the reviewers are getting early copies and are possibly paid to promote the games. Ranton himself is not a corrupt shill from what I have seen, but he is kind of an idiot and a coward. I guarantee the reason he gave Elden Ring a 10 out of 10 is mostly because he was afraid of the backlash. Most people are afraid of the Souls fandom because they are actually aware of how obnoxious it is, but worry not, I will make sure to prove you how pathetic they actually are, and there is no reason to fear them.